Hello again, everyone. This is Zombie Kids Rule, and I'm finally back with another RPG Maker MZ tutorial. If you know, I apologize for being gone so long. If you take a look at my channel, you'll see some playlists, and you'll probably notice that one of my playlists, I got a 1X player handheld, and I was testing that out as far as what games from my Steam library play on that while I was waiting to get my Steam Deck. And then I got my Steam Deck, and so I've been spending a lot of time not only making videos of what games work on the Steam Deck, basically focusing mostly on unknown games right now, where right now Valve hasn't said one way or the other whether it's playable or verified or not. And testing my own library and just playing. I've been really loving that Steam Deck. But I have been feeling the RPG Maker itch, and I've got the bug again. So for about a week now, I've been exploring different things, and I've created a whole bunch of stuff that I want to share. And I will just tell you some upcoming videos very soon here. Probably about 5 of them will be on how to let the player set their own portals and then return to those portals. And it started off with a very simple thing of how do I let them do that? And then it just started building and building and building and building and saying, is it only one portal in the entire game that you overwrite? Can each party member have a portal? Can you have a number of portals that you pick from and name and all this other stuff? So as I continued to explore and I kept finding different ways to do things, I will share all of those in an upcoming video. And I've also done some event swapping that I want to show and different things like that, all that I've discovered very recently. But first, I want to do a couple simpler videos on that will end up being used later in the how to set portals and how to track portals and all this other stuff. So, I want to do these ones first because it kind of lays the foundation for what's coming up. I will also say if you haven't done it, if you're new to RPG Maker, and my presumption is that you've watched some more basic videos. You've watched some tutorials on how what is a variable, how do you use it, what is a switch, what is a self switch, that sort of things. What is the database, right? How do you create a map? How do you create items? I'm presuming that you've watched simpler tutorials of that nature. If you haven't, I strongly recommend that you search YouTube for tutorials because there is a ton. There are thousands of them actually that are really great. And then if you haven't visited RPG Maker forum, you should, because there are some great resources there. And one of them I used to help me specifically with this was an Excel spreadsheet about reference. I think it's a script call list using scripts, and that's an awesome resource. The more I learn and the more I reference it, the more I actually figure out how to use it. It's very daunting. That Excel spreadsheet is very daunting in the beginning for beginners. But let me show you what's happening. This tutorial is for, as I say in the title, it's for taking the last item that was used by the party, and right. So you're gonna get the ID of the last item that was used. Then you're going to get the name of that last item that was used. And then you're going to be able to track those with variables so that you can then use it for other purposes. And whether that be just simply presenting it to the player, or in my purpose in one of the portal things was I needed to get the ID and the name so that I can then do other things with it while I'm interacting, or the game is interacting with the player about setting the portals and naming the portals and doing all this other stuff. So let me show you what is. It's a pretty simple thing right now. So let me show you what's happening. Right. So again, first thing I'm going to do, I have to go over here and I have to get some items. Okay, so again, these are all portal related. So I will show on another video how the many different options of doing this whole portal system. whatever you want to call it, teleportation portals. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to use an item, right? So I'm going to, right now, the party is using it, right? I'm going to show you in another video how to select the party member that you want to use an item, because that can make a difference, right? And sometimes that's going to be useful for things I want to do at the very least. So now they're going to select. I have three things they can select from. So teleport amulet, portal scroll, and ring of mark and recall. They can do other things too, but for the purpose of this, I'm just going to show these three things. So I'm going to use teleport amulet first, and again, I'll show this in another video of how this portal works. And so I've just used that. I'm going to go up to this NPC, and they're going to tell me what item I just used. I used a teleport amulet, okay? So I'm going to go back down here. I'm going to use something different. I'm going to use the portal scroll. And again, I'll show you how that functions later. And disregard that little icon up here. I was messing around with something and I forgot to get rid of it. So I'm going to go back up here, and this NPC says portal scroll because that's what I just used. So I'm going to go back here. I'm going to do the last one, and we're going to do the ring of mark and recall. And again, I'll show you how that works in another tutorial. I'm not even going to rename it, but this allows me to rename portals, and then I'll be able to reference them later. So again, ring of mark and recall. So what's happening is this NPC is simply telling me what was the last item that the party used. That's all this is doing, and it's very, very simple. So let me stop that. And again, like I said, in another tutorial, I will show how to let the player choose which party member uses an item, and then how you track that, right? Because that's more involved. So here, first thing first, you could in theory use anything, right? Any item that is used, right? So you'll notice that any of these items are all set up to be used, right? And any of them should work, because you're just getting the item ID, like 7, 8, 9, 10. That's the item ID. What I did was I created these items for the use of the teleporting, or I should say portal system. And so it's getting the ID 40 for teleport amulet, 41 for ring of mark and recall, 42 for portal scroll. So you just set up an item, and these ones are calling common events, but again, that's part of the portal system. But essentially all you're doing is you're taking an item that can be used, right? So that can be used, and then this is going to grab the number of that. Okay, so doesn't really matter how these are set up, other than the fact that if you want it to be consumable, like a scroll, you say it's consumable. It means once you use it, it goes away. So you have to have multiple of them. I also set these to be able to be used always. There's no scope, so it's just it's essentially it's affecting the whole party. It's not really doing anything other than what I want it to do through the common event. Okay, so first and foremost, you have to have items to use. Then this NPC it's a very, very short event, right? This is an event, very, very short event. And this is just to show the functionality of how it works. So, I gave it an image, made it fixed so it's not moving around, same as character so that you can actually interact with it, action button so you click on it and then, you engage with it. So here's the first thing. First thing is I created a variable called last item ID, and it's variable 79. And then I set that variable to the last used item ID. So again, if I'm assuming you know the basics, but if you want to add a row, you double left click. Now you have all of your event command options, right? I did control variable, and then if you want to, create a new variable, you click on an empty space and then you type the name in, right? I forget to do that all the time. I'll click on something and then I'll forget I have to click down in the space. But that's how you start the variable. Whereas here I've already made it, so I'm just going to edit it. So I have my radial button single selected. I have the variable I want, last item ID. I'm setting it, so the operation is set, and I'm setting it to game data. And in the game data, there's a whole bunch of things that you can choose from, but one of them is last. And for instance, you could use last used skill, last actor ID to act, last enemy index to act, last target actor ID, last target enemy index. I wanted the last skill, I'm sorry, the last item used, right? The last used item ID. So that's getting the number, right? That 40, 41, 42, whatever it is. Then once you have the number, right, which that's important for different reasons. Um, One showing here, but in another video I'll show other things. I take another variable and I named it last item name. Okay, and then I'm setting it to the name of the last item ID. And how do we do that? Well, personally, I think this is very fancy. Most people who know JavaScript, people who are more experienced, they probably won't think this is fancy at all. They'll be like, "Duh, yeah, of course you can do that." For me, it took a little while to figure out. And the first thing I had to do was I had to go into that Excel spreadsheet that you can get from RPG Maker forum, right? And it's the script reference call list, I think, is RPG Maker MZ script call reference list or something like that. And what I did was I found the whatever you want to call it, the script, to get the name of an item. So what that normally looks like is $ data, capital I items. So the script is case sensitive. You have to make sure the capitals are there where they're supposed to be. So $data, capital I items. Then there's brackets. Normally there's just a number in here, .name. And that will give you the name of the last item that was used. So if I used the one item that I created and it was item number 41, if I stuck a 41 in here in between the brackets, then that would get the name of the item number 41. But the thing here is I don't know what they're going to use because I'm letting them use anything that's in their inventory, right? If it's usable. So I don't know what item they're going to pick. And so what this is doing is it's saying, look, I want to get the name, .name. I want to get the name of an item, of a data item, but we want to get the one that they last used. And the way we're going to do that is we're going to call the variable that was set here, variable number 79. So, and to do that, inside these brackets, instead of putting just a simple number, like the item number, we're going to say $game, capital V, variables, .value, and then in parentheses, the variable number, 79, which was back here. So what this is doing is it's saying, inside these brackets, the item, the last item that we used, that number is the name that we want to get. Okay? So again, to just get the name of the item, it would be $data items, and then in brackets, a number, usually the number of the item, .name, and that will get you the name of the item that was being used. But if you want to find the name of the item that you have no idea what they're using, you would set that to a variable, last used item ID. That's a number. $game variables .value, and then in parentheses the name of that variable, 79, .name, and that's going to give that to you. All right. So really, this $game variables .value parentheses 79 is the same as if I just had a 41 put in here. right? Because if the last item I used was the ID was 41, then the value of this variable 79 is 41. That's going to be the value of it. Okay. So that's what those two things are doing. And then here it's just a simple text box to say what this name is, right? So it's when you hover over this, of course, it gives you the help reminder of how to do this. But slash capital V and then in brackets the number, the variable number, is going to basically display whatever value this variable has. So this variable 78 has a value of the name of the last item that was used. That's exactly what it's doing. And so that's what this NPC is showing. Okay. And again, if you to do this, you double click, you select show text, and then you do what you want to do. And when you hover over, it gives you the help text, right? You can set your picture, right? You can set your name and that sort of thing. Okay, so that's it. That is all that is required. So something as simple as this will allow you to figure out what was the last item, what was the ID of the last item that the party used, and then what was the name of that item that you then will use for something else, right? There's all kinds of different reasons that you might want to have this information, that you might want to use it. This is the simple way of getting this information. And again, I thoroughly tested it by doing something simple like this, just creating a simple event to say, does this work the way I expect it to? And it certainly does. And this is part of a bigger event relating to teleporting, right? This is how I discovered this and why I want to show just the simpler version of it to break it down. Okay, so once again, you create a variable, name it whatever you want, and you're going to use the option for game data, and you're going to select the last item, right? That's what you're going to do for that. And then the next one, you create another variable, name it whatever you want, and then you're going to use that to store the name of the last item that you used. And you're going to use this script. And I will just say this, be careful about copying and pasting. I have put scripts inside a Word document that I then use as a time saver when I'm doing things like this. What I have found is things like, especially the single quotes, those do not copy and paste correctly, at least not from the version I'm using of Word. So I will copy and paste a script that I know works, and I'll copy it into an event, I'll paste it into an event, and I get an error. And it's because of that single quotation mark that is sometimes used. So if you run across a problem with a script, double check to make sure that, number one, it isn't a copy paste problem, but number two, your capitalizations are correct. They have to be capitalized in the right spots. If you don't, then you're going to get an error. And your decimal points, right? Your periods have to be in the right spots. And that's it, right? So you're using two variables, and then you're displaying the end result. Okay? And that's all this is. So anyway, listen, I hope this helps, folks. I'm doing these videos because I'm just sharing what I'm uncovering as I'm trying to figure out things that I want to do for any sort of game that I make. And so if this is helpful, awesome. And if you do find these videos helpful, please consider liking, subscribing, getting notifications, leaving comments. If you have requests, put them in a comment. If you know a different way of doing this, if you know a better way of doing this, if you have another resource that shows, great things to do or similar things or different things, by all means, leave a comment, and other people will benefit from. I will hopefully benefit from it, but then other people who watch this will benefit too. So anyway, stay tuned. I've got a bunch of other videos coming up. I've got a bunch of stuff already made and tested so that I can just make the videos and get them posted. Again, this is a simple one of what was the last item that the party used? What's the name of that item? And can I display it? So I know how to get it. I know how to get it so that I can then use it. Anyway, again, I hope this is helpful. I hope everybody's having a great day. In the meantime, between when I can get another video up, I hope everybody, I wish you all happy gaming, happy game developing, and I hope you have an awesome day. And I will talk to everybody later. Bye.